Hello again everyone and welcome back to Skyblock News. I'm your host Derailious, and today we're going to be going over a visual revamp to the Jerry's Workshop that has hit the alpha network, as well as a bunch of other changes including new Abophone contacts and a whole lot more. Before we begin, make sure to like and subscribe. Use code RAIL on the Hypixel store for 5% off your order, and without any further ado, let's get started. Starting off today with that visual revamp, as you can see, Jerry's Workshop is now fully in 1.21 with the new blocks as well as new modern features. Definitely looks very visually pretty. I do like the look quite a bit, and there's also a weather mechanic that we'll get into in a little while that makes it look even cooler. Before getting into the fishing changes though, we do have to talk about something else. First, there's Littlefoot's Den. It's a new Glaciite Mineshaft variant, and if you're ever so lucky to happen upon one, you'll notice Littlefoot lingering around. It is his home after all. The little guy packs quite a punch once he gets over his fear of outsiders, so come ready for a fight. Once you defeat him or hunt him, he can drop a number of valuable items. First, he gives you Littlefoot's Shard. You grant yourself 0.5 gemstone spread for every 29 down to 20 cold resistance you have in the Glaciite Mineshafts. So at level 1, it'll be every 29, and at level 10, it'll be every 20, meaning you can get up to 2.5 gemstone spread if you have 100 cold resistance, which is very, very nice. There's also Littlefoot Fluff. This is allowing you to make the pocket-sized igloo, which can upgrade a baby Yeti pet to mythic rarity. Something else to note here is that they have a 0.1% chance to replace any Glaciite Maniac in any given Glaciite Mineshaft, and they're looking into upping the space chance as well as adjusting the Mythic Baby Yetis perk as part of this alpha session, as they're not satisfied with the final design. And if we take a look at the Baby Yeti pet, we can see that its mythic perk is as follows. It gives you 10 tracking while on Jerry's Workshop. This is kind of different than the original design of this pet, and also as you can see, it now lowers the Yeti Sword's cooldown by 75%. But regardless, it's not going to be as useful for things like tanking, and seems to be a little bit more focused on sea creatures and fishing on Jerry's Workshop. In terms of the Jerry fishing quality of life, there are a lot of changes to go over. First, they've added winter sea creature exclusivity. Now you will only catch winter sea creatures while on Jerry's Island. They've added walnuts to the bazaar and fishing hotspots to Jerry's Island. They've also adjusted the range rate catch message to mention the player who caught it. They've also adjusted some winter sea creature weights and rarities. So the common Frozen Steve is a 5,000 weight, uncommon Frosties are 2,875, rare Grinches are 1,500, epic Nutcrackers are 500, legendary Yetis are 100, and mythic range rakes are 25. The drop tables have also been updated due to certain sea creatures becoming a lot more common. They will be adjusted once again soon as part of the Magic Find rework update. Most notably, the Baby Yeti pet now drops as common. They've added the ability for double hook chance to activate on range rakes and adjusted some Jerry fishing bestiaries. So Frozen Steve is bracket 4, tier 15, 1000 to max. Same thing with Frosty and Grinch. The Nutcracker is also in bracket 4 at tier 15, 1000 total to max, and the Yeti is bracket 5, tier 15, 400 to max. They've adjusted the fishing level requirement for Frosty from level 6 to 1, and for Frozen Steve from 4 to 1. They've also adjusted Ice Bait and Winter Bait. Now Ice Bait grants you 25 fishing speed as well as 4 sea creature chance while on the Jerry Island, and Winter Bait gives you 50 fishing speed and 8 sea creature chance while on Jerry's Island. Gregory will now spawn whenever a range rake does, ready to sell you bows and arrows for an extortionate price, and they removed the winter sea creature buff from the icy sinker, now that you always catch winter sea creatures. There is also some other Jerry Island quality of life stuff here. They've added the ability to salvage the icy sinker for 20 ice essence. They've added a crafting recipe for the hunk of blue ice, so if I look it up, hunk of blue ice, we can see that the crafting recipe is simply 160 hunks of ice. They've also adjusted the Ankylosaurus pet's armored tank perk to grant 1 to 100% of your defense's strength. We'll go over that more in a little bit, but that is crazy. They've adjusted the Baby Yeti pet with the aim of making it more useful for winter fishing, and they've adjusted the weight of certain items in red gifts. The legendary snowman pet is now 2 weight, Cryo Powder Shard is from 1 to 4, and the Winter Island has gone from 1 to 4 as well. They've adjusted the cryo powder shard to now be part of a crafting recipe instead of applicable in an anvil, and they've adjusted the carnival shop's icy hook perk to now grant 0.5 to 2.5 sea creature chance while on the Jerry Island. They've renamed the True Ice Hilt to True Ice, and moved Frozen Alex to a more visible and more accessible location. And as you can see, that's the igloo right here, and there they are. Alright, now for the Ankylosaurus change. So if we take a look, we can see the Ankylosaurus gains 100% of my defense as strength with a maximum of 1000. Now I have an armor set that is pretty normal and usable in all combat, and if we look at my Skyblock menu for my stats, we can see I have about 1200 defense, which means I get an extra 1000 strength. And if I hit a mob, as you can see, a zombie villager, I do 2.27 million damage, 2.5 million, 2.4, etc. So right around 2.4 to 2.6 million is where I can generally get up to, as you can see, 2.66 there. If I swap over to my golden dragon and I click a mob, as you can see, the numbers are not particularly different, around 2.4 to 2.6 million. Another thing to note here is that I don't have any pet items on my Ankylosaurus here. What does this mean? Well, right now, before this releases to the main server, and I imagine this will get a nerf, the Ankylosaurus pet is keeping up with the golden dragon at max when it comes to pure DPS and pure damage. I think obviously the Ankylosaurus is going to get some amount of a nerf here, but even if it gets nerfed to 50%, the Ankylosaurus pet will still become a very useful pet in terms of a budget golden dragon for strength alone. And I would love to see that happen because I think meta changes like this are really nice, and I think it could absolutely be a fun and interesting dichotomy there for those players who don't necessarily have a golden dragon, but do want a high amount of strength. Next up, you're going to have to pardon my inventory, but we do have a lot of new Abophone contacts, notably people like the bartender as well as Vulcan, and if we head over to the contacts directory, we can see the people I have not added yet: Agatha, Bolvar, Carolyn, Clerk Seraphine, Delir, Frozen Alex, Gemma, Junker Joel, Kaisha, the Mad Redstone Engineer, Malik, Marigold, Moby, Philip, Rosemary Shaggy, Spider Tamer Talbot, Taylor, Terry, Tony, and Tyzo. And these are all pretty interesting. I've got to say, I actually am pretty happy about quite a few, especially people like the bartender and Vulcan. And for example, Vulcan's requirement is that you need to do a single Infernal Kudra completion. Bartender is Spider tier 9, so on and so forth. But there's some other interesting stuff they've done here. Notably, they've increased the Abophone Trio's cap from 15 to 25. They've improved the Abophone Trio's item lore. They increased the rarity of Arachne Crystal from rare to epic. They've adjusted some Abophone contact difficulties. They've added tab autocomplete support for the call command. So if I call and then like Maddox, I can do that, which is very, very nice. They've added the travel scroll to the Glowing Mushroom Cave to Moby's shop and removed the 7 rare relics quest from the archaeologist. If we head over to Kaisha specifically though, she will talk about something kind of interesting. There is a new sea creature on Galatea that you will be able to hunt down, and it is Nessie. And as you can see, it is absolutely wonderful to look at. It is a sniffer, and it has a couple drops that we will go over. So if I do /sea creature guide, we can look him up. And there's Nessie, level 302, fishing skill requirement of 25, and it has a few drops, notably Enchanted Sea Loomies, Bobbin Scriptures, which I think are at a 1% rate, Enchanted Mangrove Log, Mangcores, Mounds of Seagrass, and Vibrant Coral. In terms of the Mound of Seagrass, you can actually see that now in your Skyblock levels section. It's in the Consumables tab, and if you eat a Mound of Seagrass, it will give you, I believe, pressure resistance, and we can look that up over here. As you can see, yes, it gives you 1 pressure resistance, and you need 5 of these in order to max it out. You can also look up the Vibrant Coral. This will allow you to get an extra level for Scuba, but I really do love that we're getting another sea creature here for Nessie, and I believe also in terms of its fishing requirement, or rather its bestiary requirement, as you can see it has one. I think you only need 100 of these, so it shouldn't be too bad. Next up, we have a smaller change, but one I am absolutely excited about nonetheless. We have the Reforge Anvil, and it's the fact that the Reforge Anvil is gone. There's no such thing anymore. You can look at the Smithmonger, so on and so forth. The TLDR here is that they want to remove the Reforge anvil functionality from Skyblock for simplicity. Everything you used to need a Reforge anvil for, reforges, recombobulators, etc., can now be done in a regular anvil. So they've replaced the recipe, they've gotten rid of it, they added a 2 million coin NPC sell price on main for the Reforge anvils as well, but to prevent players from abusing the 2 million NPC sell price, they've basically made it so you can only get one per year, as well as removing the recipe from Obsidian Collection, a very, very nice quality of life change that frankly should have been done years ago. Next up, we have quite a few other quality of life changes to go over, notably in terms of combat. If you head over to your sacks and then your Slayer sacks, there's a lot more stuff in here now. Notably, Golden Teeth, Revenant Viscera, Tarantula Silk, Null Ovoids, the Toxic and Twilight Arrow Poisons, as well as Molten Powder. This should be a lot better for the Slayer sack. Very, very nice to see this. They've also made a change that reduced the amount of kills needed to max Harpy, Gaia Construct, and Cretin Bull Bestiaries, down from 4,000 to 1,000. Once again, a very nice change. They've also improved how mob types were spread throughout the Skyblock guide. This hasn't really changed a ton of things, except now we have a 4 mob type mob, the Grinch: aquatic, frozen, humanoid, and shielded. Some other notable changes here, if you take a look at Bat Person armor, now it only increases combat stats instead of pretty much all the stats in the game, which makes sense. This is kind of a thing that they've been doing a lot recently. Another change, they've allowed for Fire Aspect and Venomous enchants to work on mythological mobs, which is very, very nice to see. They changed the Blazing attribute to Infernal Ruler and Spirit Axe to Woodland Ruler. Some other notable changes with regard to attribute shards. If you look at Nessie's shard, which is a lock hook, as you can see, it gives you up to 5 double hook chance while on foraging islands. Now this is kind of interesting because previously the double hook chance shards only worked on one specific island, but now if you take a look, the Crimson Hook now gives you on combat islands 5 double hook chance, and if we take a look, the Titanoboa one now gives you 5 double hook chance while on fishing islands. So these have been expanded a little bit, and you should get quite a bit more double hook chance on a lot more islands, which is very nice to see. Oh yeah, alongside this release, we're also getting a metric ton of bug fixes, most notably to the Aspect of the End. There were a lot of issues with teleporting, with the Aspect of the End not really working perfectly under certain circumstances. It should now be significantly better. They've also made a change to pests. Now you can no longer black hole them. You'll need to use a lasso, which is pretty interesting. So the last change here is actually the weather change that we were talking about. And as you can see on Jerry's workshop, if I hover over my tab menu, you can see that the island is currently undergoing a blizzard for the next minute and 40 seconds. Well, that's because there's a new item. If you look up blizzard in a bottle, you can consume it to start a blizzard while in Jerry's workshop or the Glacial tunnels and lasts for 10 minutes. During a blizzard, all players gain the following buffs: 25 fishing speed, 5 sea creature chance, 2.5 tracking, and 1 double hook chance. And it costs a few hunks of ice, as well as a true ice and 4 walnuts. This is really interesting. I personally very much like it, and it does lead to a beautiful visual effect on the new and improved Jerry's Workshop. Wrapping up here, this update on the Alpha Network seems pretty substantial, with a lot of quality of life improvements and some stuff to make the fishing experience just a little bit better. Speaking of fishing, there has been a thread announced for the Lotus Atoll. I'll put that in a separate video as the topic is very different in scope, but that update coming alongside, or at least within the next month or two after this release, makes a lot of sense, and when that video is out, I'll have it linked on screen right now. At the end of the day though, my name's Derailious. Thank you so much for watching this video till the end, and look to the future, fellas. I'll see you then.